2020 bad. Great, that's a good start. This video is just gonna be a chill one in which I talk about some shit that no one gives a toss about. Fantastic. I read 30 books in 2020. Now, in hindsight, this number is, well, ماشي شي حاجة. Considering that last year and pretty much throughout all of my life, I only read the total of one book. وكان كتاب خصني نقراه, otherwise I'm getting a fucking 0 in unit. Now, of course, for your time's sake, I'm not gonna waffle about each and every book I read, but would rather speak of the books I thoroughly enjoyed, the ones I hated, and my take on this jovial of a journey. The list of the books will be in the description below in case any of you beautiful animals wanted to check them out. Now, my problem with reading wasn't that I hated to read, it was rather the hassle of finishing a certain book. The appeal and this aura surrounding literature that I kept seeing people talk about wasn't there for me. كنت نهز كتاب كان أقرأ صفحات and bam, I'm in a fucking coma. Let's start with the first book I read, or finished rather. It was George Orwell's Animal Farm. However, ماشي هاد الكتاب هو باش بديت بهذا Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky, which was undeniably the worst piece of literature one who has never finished a book should start with. I read 70 pages and I've never felt so dim reading something. I couldn't understand jack shit, and thus I stopped and looked for a different read, perhaps something of more simplicity, something my very small brain could fathom, hence why I picked up Animal Farm and read about a bunch of animals manifesting communism. I also read one of the same author's most notorious novels, 1984, a modern classic. Going into this book, and just like I do with every medium, I prefer not knowing anything, thus going into it with zero expectations. I can say that this one is one of the best books I've ever read. A magnificent story, the movie was shambolic, just don't watch it, just read the book, don't watch the movie. Another book I really enjoyed was Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, one of the many self-help books I read, the others will be spoken about eminently. This one, وخفيش questionable comparisons and metaphors, it was an informative read, I took away some grandeur advice, and it most definitely achieved the aim of it being of such genre. There is a section in it which I'm still wondering to this day علاش قريته أصلا. It was about raising children. The next book is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Now, this particular read was recommended to me by a very dear friend of mine. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a series of stories that involves 5 parts. I've only read 3 of them because by the end of the 3rd part, it was bloody boring. Will I finish it? I'm a book's whore now, of course I'm gonna finish it. If any of you are looking for a fun read that even a monkey brain would enjoy, this one's for you, my friends. Next read pertains to the Greeks. قريت The Republic by Plato, the longest I've spent on a book. It took me fucking weeks to finish this thing. Though I enjoyed it, my brain had to really work for this big boy, and they actually made me even more intrigued about Greek philosophy, their line of thinking, and their take on life in general. Slavery is good as long as you treat your slave with the utmost respect. قريت الكتاب ديال سينيكا, How to Die, an ancient guide to the end of life. Now, when I picked this book, I thought it was an actual guide on how one could game end himself. It wasn't the scammy twat. Nevertheless, it was an informative read, a great guide to stoicism, and considering how everyone nowadays is struggling with the immense complexity of life and the void that is awaiting us all, هاد الكتاب ومعه meditations ديال Marcus Aurelius with discourses and selected writings by Epictetus, which I'm still reading and will probably finish by the end of this year. Greek philosophy in general could help even a little bit with the dread that is life. Going back to Dostoevsky's works, I actually ended up reading 2 of his novels, one of which is Notes from Underground, which is about a veteran of the Russian service army, a resentful and misanthropic man living by himself. One could see and also feel how resentment and bitterness could really destroy a man. I enjoyed this one more than the other book, The House of the Dead, which was about a man who was exiled to hard labor in Siberia. The story showcases the hardships a man undergoes in such an environment. However, the story itself and the tumult the main character went through didn't evoke as much emotion in me as Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, which is an actual memoir of the guy who spent a considerable amount of time in Nazi death camps. The book contains many lessons concerning spiritual survival as well as his take on logotherapy. How can one find a meaning to his life even amid amidst the most egregious situations imagined to man. Another book I enjoyed reading this year was indeed Daniel Keyes' Flowers for Algernon. It is a story of a mentally disabled man, Charlie, and his quest for intelligence reminiscent to that of Algernon, a lab mouse. Through reading this book, you're gonna go through the documentation of his life. You're gonna read about the entire journey of this man from being this to this. This book is a roller coaster of emotions and I highly recommend it. Regarding self-help books, I read 15? What the fuck? I read 5 books in total. One of them is 12 Rules for Life, which I mentioned before in this video. How to take smart notes, make it stick, the motivation myth, how to win friends and influence people. Yes, I actually fucking read that, expecting something. I didn't get anything. Upon reading all of these, the best one was indeed Peter Brown's Make It Stick, for I genuinely found almost every section within this book to be of immense help, especially for someone who can't organize, remember, or make the best use of what he reads/studies. So if this description fits any of you, there you go, read this, it helps. This one, however, I also read other books, such as The Alchemist, a renowned classic, The Strange by Albert Campus, Of Mice and Men, and another classic, The Trial, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I read a bunch of short stories, such as Cathedral, What We Talk About When We Talk About Love, The Monkey's Paw. The latter I read because of this particular scene from the Monogatari series. Did I read these short stories because of my curiosity towards the genre? لا قريتهم حيت عجزت نقرا حاجة طويلة, but it was completely fucking worth it. I read Waiting for Godot. Was it good? No. Was it bad? No. It's just there. I finished it and immediately started questioning my life choices. The last set of books I'm gonna speak of are Yukio Mishima's, and bloody hell, this man is an absolute genius. What I read of his was The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea and The Sound of Waves. Both are individual stories, incredible stories. Sun and Steel, which wasn't a story but a document in which he writes about the importance of his physical being and the profound relationship between action and art. Both words in the title are symbols of the mind and the body. Runaway Horses, which is the second out of 4 parts of the series of The Sea of Fertility. Where is the first part, you might ask? Well, being the thick idiot that I am, I didn't know there was a first part. I was too excited to read more of this man that I just neglected the first part. It's true that I haven't spoken in detail about the books I read, purely because I want you, the viewer, to go through them yourself and create your own relationship with whichever book you're interested in. Which book have I enjoyed the most out of all of them? It's not one, it's actually these 3. Which book I hated the most? Honestly, none. I enjoyed all of them. However, كتاب, I really tried to read it. I get the slow burner aspect of it, but I'm sorry. I tried giving a boring pile of shit a chance before. Steins Gate had a slow burner to it. The difference is that this has people moving and a good looking 2D woman. This, on the other hand, is no. Just no. No. If you're someone who enjoyed it, good on you, mate. Fuck this book, I say. Finally, one thing I'm gonna say before ending this video is if you're someone who isn't into books, try some of the books in the description, please. If I managed to go from being physically incapable of reading more than 10 pages of literature without falling into deep sleep, then surely you can build a habit of reading on your own. 10 pages a day will slowly become 15 later on. Hell, I didn't even plan to read 30 books. 12 books a year was a dream to me, but because of an encouragement of one particular person, you know who you are, thank you, I managed to punch above my weight. It takes time, yes, but hey, everything in life does.